Hi, dear students. I'm your English teacher, Evi Dhere, DBJ College, Chiplun. Students, today you are going to learn the very first prose in your syllabus, An Astrologer's Day. An Astrologer's Day is a short story which is written by R.K. Narayan. Students, today you are going to learn just the first part of this summary of the story. So, listen carefully. Students, before turning towards our story, it is important to know about short story. What is short story? Short stories seem to answer something very deep in our nature, as if for the duration of its telling, something special has been created, some essence of our experience extrapolated, some temporary sense has been made of our common turbulent journey towards the grave and oblivion. In terms of length, word count is typically anywhere from 1000 to 4000 for short stories. However, some have 15,000 words and are still classed as short stories. Stories of fewer than 1000 words are sometimes referred to as short stories or flash fiction. A short story is a piece of prose fiction that typically can be read in one sitting and focuses on a self contained incident or series of linked incidents with the intent of evoking a single effect or mood. The short story is a crafted form in its own right. Short stories make use of plot, resonance, and other dynamic components as in a novel. But typically, to a lesser degree, while the short story is largely distinct from the novel or novella, short novel authors generally draw from a common pool of literary techniques. Short story writers may define their works as part of the artistic and personal expression of the form. They may also attempt to resist categorization by genre and fixed formation. Short stories have deep roots, and the power of short fiction has been recognized in modern society for hundreds of years. Students, now listen a short introduction of the author R.K. Narayan. He was born in 1906. He died in 2001. Rashipuram Krishnaswamy Iyer, Narayan Swamy was one of the best known novelists among Indian English writers. He is the author of 14 novels, 5 volumes of short stories, and a number of travelogues and has a collection of non-fiction to his credit. He also wrote his memoir, My Days. Narayan created the imaginary town of Malgudi, where realistic characters in typically Indian setting lived amid unpredictable events. His stories are grounded in compassionate humanism and celebrated the humor and energy of ordinary life. His stories are characterized by a simple style and subtle humor. Narayan was introduced to American readers in 1952 by the Michigan State University Press. These include Swami and Friends, The Bachelor of Arts, The Dark Room, An Astrologer's Day, and other stories. Mr. Sampath, The Financial Expert, Waiting for the Mahatma, The Guide, and many other books. His novel, The Guide, won him the Sahitya Akademi Award in 1961, the most coveted literary honor in India. His writing is distinguished by humor and unoffending irony, a unique Indianness and simplicity which is utterly charming and authentic. Narayan typically portrays the peculiarities of human relationships and the ironies of Indian daily life. His style is graceful, marked by genial humor, elegance, and simplicity. Students, this story deals with themes like fear, freedom, appearance, desperation, deception, revenge, guilt, relief, and ironies in life. Students, do you believe in astrologers? Many people believe that astrologers predict future of others, but they don't know their own future. Why should they run in search of their daily bread and butter if they already know astrology, which they believe to set the life of people? Through this story, the writer has thrown a light on the character of the astrologer who deceives people, and even people believe in him blindly. Running after such things is in vain. One should believe in reality. How can the stars and planets affect our lives from lakhs of miles away from us? Students, you should believe in science and reality. You should not be superstitious. You should not waste your precious time running after such things. So, students, now without wasting time, we are going to learn a short story, An Astrologer's Day. In the beginning of the story, the author has created the atmosphere which suits the story by describing the marketplace, the vendors, the various shops, people, and the character of the astrologer. The story is narrated in the third person by an unnamed person. Students, the main characters in these stories are the astrologer and the stranger and the another supporting character is astrologer's wife. Who an astrologer? An astrologer is a person predicts the future of people by understanding the position of the planets and the birth charts of individuals. Here is the story. Students, listen carefully. At midday, the astrologer lay out his equipment and got ready for the day. He has brought a dozen of cowrie shells. Cowrie shell is a sea animal. See here in picture. This is cowrie shell. Mystic mystical looking but unreadable charts, palmaria writing on palm leaves, palmaria writing, and other things. His forehead is painted with sacred ash. Just see the white lines on his forehead. These are called sacred ash and vermilion. See the red line here, which is called vermilion. He wears a saffron colored turban on his head. Just to see the saffron colored turban. The astrologers grab in combination with his keen eyes and long beard give him an enigmatic and comforting appearance to potential customers. He seems prophetic and wise, though even a half-wit's eyes would sparkle in such setting. The astrologer is seated beneath a large tamarind tree near a road that leads through the town hall park. Around him is a marketplace with similarly fraudulent characters, including an auctioneer of cheap cloth and a man who sells the same fried food every day, but each day gives it a new luxurious name, such as Bombay ice cream. The lights in the marketplace flicker and dance from dozens of sources, creating an enchanted feeling, a feeling bolstered by the fact that the marketplace lacks the benefit of municipal lighting. The astrologer prefers the indirect lighting since he never aspired to be an astrologer at all, nor has he any business being one. He does not know any more about the stars than any customer who may come to him. At the day's end, the nuts vendor next to the astrologer blows out his flare and goes home, meaning it is time for the astrologer to go home as well. There is no more light available to him, save for a small shaft of green light that strayed to the ground in front of him. As the astrologer is packing his garb and equipment, a stranger blots out the green light. The astrologer summons him to sit down, hoping to make money of him. The stranger resists, but the astrologer presses until finally the stranger steps to him and aggressively offers a challenge. The stranger offers a large sum on the cynical wager that the astrologer cannot tell him anything worthwhile. They haggle over the wager, eventually raising the price and the stakes. The stranger strikes a match to light his cheroot, and the brief light of the flame illuminates his face enough for the astrologer to see his identity. The astrologer gets very uncomfortable and tries to wriggle out of the wager and go home. The stranger will not allow it, grabbing him by the arm and keeping him there, determined to expose the astrologer as a fraud or learn something useful. The astrologer, fearful now, tries several times to offer the same vague, placating advice that has satisfied other customers in the past. The stranger, however, will have none of it. The astrologer says a silent prayer and then changes tactic, revealing to the stranger that he knows that he was stabbed and left for dead some years ago. The stranger is now filled with enthusiasm, convinced that the astrologer must truly possess cosmic wisdom. He inquires when he will be able to find the man who attacked him so that he may kill him. The astrologer replies that it will not be until the next life because his attacker died several months ago in a different village. The stranger is disappointed at this news. However, the astrologer offers him some satisfaction by telling him that the man he seeks was crushed under a lorry and at least met a grisly, undignified end, that is, death. The astrologer reveals that he knows the man's name is Guru Nayak as well. Crediting his own omniscience, he wants Guru Nayak to return to his village and never venture this way again, or great harm will befall him. Guru Nayak considers, for now that his assailant is dead, he has no more reason to wander about. Guru Nayak gives the astrologer a fistful of coins and leaves while the astrologer packs his equipment. The last shaft of green light has also vanished. The astrologer returns home to his wife and daughter in the dark of midnight. His wife is angry at him until she sees the money he has made from Guru Nayak, though the astrologer curses Nayak when he realizes that Nayak has slightly underpaid him. She remarks that her husband seems troubled, though he brushes it off. As they are lying down to sleep, the astrologer tells his wife that a great weight, that is the great burden, has been lifted from him today. For years, he had believed he had murdered Guru Nayak when he lived in his own village. But now he sees that he is not a murderer after all. His wife is shocked at the revelation that her husband once attempted murder, but the astrologer dismisses his crime as the folly of the youth. Students, this was a summary of the story. Now you have to learn about the characters in this story. The main character in this story is the astrologer. He is portrayed as a calm, observant, and deceptive character. We realize towards the end of the story that the astrologer had been forced to live in fear every day in his life. He was afraid that his past would come back to haunt him. The astrologer makes a living deceiving people by making observations about their attitudes and behavior. By using clever disguise, he gives out an aura of pity. A sharp, abnormal gleam in his eyes is mistaken for a prophetic light by his simple customers. With his forehead smeared with sacred ash and vermilion and a saffron turban, he makes his customers feel comfortable in his presence and sends them away as believers. The second character in this story is Guru Nayak, which is very important character. He is the antithesis of the astrologer. The author describes Guru Nayak through his dialogue as his first dialogue. You call yourself an astrologer? Shows Guru Nayak comes across as both aggressive and mean spirited. There is an element of irony in the choice of Guru Nayak's name because the term Guru is associated with a spiritual leader or teacher. This is a stark contrast to what we see in Nayak's character. Although Guru Nayak has visited a number of astrologers in pursuit of the man who harmed him, unlike the astrologer's other clients, he begins with a skeptical attitude and insists on wager. The wager is carefully inserted in the story in order to reveal later that Nayak, with his weakness for gambling, would have been at least partly to blame for the quarrel in the past. It is also significant that the end of story when the astrologer's wife adds up the coins given by Nayak and announces the total, the astrologer realizes that he has been cheated. This minor detail shows that Nayak is untrustworthy. This leaves the reader thinking that the astrologer was probably the victim rather than Guru Nayak. The third character in this story is a minor character in a supporting role, that is the astrologer's wife. The wife in his story is nameless. She is also not from village. She helps to provide the occasion for the astrologer to confess his past indiscretion at the end of the story. The wife is also a means to suggest the overall economic standing of the family. Since acquiring 12 and a half annas, a paltry sum by Indian standards, becomes an occasion for the astrologer to reveal aspects of his past and the significance of having encountered Guru Nanak on the day. So, students, this was the first part of our lecture, An Astrologer's Day. See you in the next part. Till then, bye bye. Take care. Stay at home.